fifth inning. The Twins are holding on to a half-game lead over the Detroit Tigers for the final wildcard spot in the American League, and they're currently beating the Guardians 2-1, bottom of the fifth inning.
It's time.
You know what time it is?
The game for Tuscaloosa's longest-running sports show.
The biggest goal of our team,
especially in the first half,
we at Bama, we're trying to be the best. Always is to win a national championship.
Something cool to look back on.
We don't want to waste a failure.
You're inside the game.
John Mechie on the ground.
Appreciate your interest in the game.
On your home for Alabama sports.
Alabama wins.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. And now, here's your award-winning host, Ryan Fowler.
Hello? Can you hear me? You got me? Perfect. Hey, I sound a little better and I feel a little better. So hello to you guys. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. Appreciate you being patient with us yesterday. I was a little bit under the weather, and I've done some shows before in the past with cough drops in my mouth. But yesterday was one of those days that I was grinding a little bit. We also we had a couple of little technical hiccups, so we apologize for that. Generally, when you're doing the show remotely, you kind of assume that some of those things will happen. But anyway, we'll move past that. We're going to dive into a lot of different things today. We're going to talk with Chris Plank. Chris is going to be a part of our show coming up at 2:15. We'll talk with Chris Plank. We're going to talk about this Tennessee-Oklahoma game, but he's a national college football analyst. He does Sirius XM Channel 84. We're going to ask him to kind of look ahead to this Alabama-Georgia game. And then we're going to dive into a major conversation with Bruce Marshall. And Bruce is one of those guys that we love to be able to pick his brain about a lot of different things, but also we want to pick his brain about an early forecast of this line, because we see it all over the place in Vegas. And I say all over the place, I mean all over the place. When you look at the Vegas odds, right now they've got this Alabama game anywhere from 2.5 to 4.5. So there's a lot of variance when you look at this upcoming line between Georgia and Alabama. We also do not have a game total. We're going to look ahead from his perspective to kind of give us some early thoughts on what he sees. He's a college football historian. And then coming up at 3:30, we're going to feature Daniel Moore. It was just released. I know I teased it yesterday. They have been able to get an official copy, and this is something that I know that they've been working on for 5 or 6 months. It is a commemorative print that has been released just about 5 minutes ago. Daniel Moore is going to make that announcement officially coming up at 3:30. Daniel Moore, the artist. And I always love to pick his brain. He's no doubt one of our great sponsors, but it's kind of fun because you walk into many different restaurants and you see Alabama history all over the place, and we're documenting history. That's the way I look at Daniel Moore, the Fine Art Edition. They just released a commemorative print, Alabama coach Nick Saban, Fine Art commemorative tribute to Nick Saban. Now, keep in mind, there is autographs edition, but this is a highly limited number of autograph editions. If you go to danielmooreart.com, you can find this print. You can see it. It is literally hot off the news right now. There's only going to be 250 of these prints. So only 250 of these prints will be autographed by Nick Saban. You can see that print, and we ask that if you check out, you tell them that you heard about it right here on the game. So it covers all of the national titles that started back in 2009, 2011, 2012, 2015, 2017, 2020, Nick Saban's final championship. And it's a beautiful print. I saw it yesterday for a couple of minutes. It's one of those must-haves when you think about honoring Coach Saban. And this is also one of those things that, you know, you look back at Coach Bryant. Coach Bryant had one of these prints, or very similar, but it's called The Legend, officially authorized by Nick Saban and autographed by him for a limited number of those copies. So you can buy that at danielmooreart.com. So Daniel's going to join us coming up at 3:30. We're going to have a chance to talk with him, and he'll talk more about the release. And this is going to be a fast-moving print because of really, like I said, they've been working on it for 5 or 6 months. And they've been teasing me, but they did not officially tell me until yesterday. I knew it was something about Nick Saban. At least that was my guess. So now the print is here, and you can see it, danielmooreart.com. Remember the code word, THEGAME, on the significant discount on the calendar that we're running. you can buy an autographed edition of the calendar for the same price that you would buy a 2025 calendar. So that will be one of the things that we'll dive into with Daniel Moore. But you can remember the code word. Just don't put a space in between the game. The game, just all one word. Brad Powers is going to join us coming up at 4 o'clock. We're going to talk with Brad Powers. We're going to also analyze this Alabama-Georgia game. I apologize. We'll talk more about that with Brad Powers, BradPowersSports.com. Brad's going to be a part of our show at 4 o'clock, and we'll dive into a lot of different things with him, and we'll look at some of these upcoming games of college football because I don't know about you, but I enjoy just sitting back. Right, Alabama, you don't have to worry about it. You can spend your worry on Georgia, and we can talk about confidence, and we'll do that tomorrow with our SEC parlay picks. I even threw it around a little bit of doing the parlay picks today, but we're a little bit guest heavy. We only have 4 guests, but they're informative guests, right? Chris Plank's going to join us, Plank Show, Sirius XM, and then coming up at 3, we'll talk with Bruce Marshall, 3:30, Daniel Moore, 4 o'clock, Brad Powers. We're going to take phone calls. The University of Alabama has also issued an official release. It is now confirming that President Trump, the 45th president of the United States, has, and this, I'll just read it straight from their release. This is from the University of Alabama. It's as bipartisan as you possibly can get. But they've just released an announcement, official release. University of Alabama releasing this statement, quote, "We have been notified that the 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump, plans to attend the Alabama-Georgia football game on September the 28th after receiving an invitation from a private citizen." The statement from UA continues, and it says the safety of our campus is and will remain of top priority. And UAPD will work closely with the U.S. Secret Service and other law enforcement partners to cooperate security. Like for any UA football game, walk-through metal detectors will be in place. A clear back policy will be strictly enforced. Additional safety measures will be enacted and collaborated with local and federal agencies, so fans are encouraged to arrive early to expedite the security screening process. The university's focus will continue to be ensuring a safe and positive game day experience for the student athletes, fans of both teams, and all campus visitors, end quote. That's coming from the University of Alabama Media Relations Department. We got that statement within the last hour. And you can also read more about that if you missed that, Tide109.com, Tide109.com. So we're going to talk about that. We'll certainly, get into the Georgia and Alabama, the X's and O's. We had some player availability. We had some coaches availability this week. And I even got some things yesterday that we didn't even have a chance to dive into from something that Coach DeBoer talked about. He was proposed a question about, well, when you look at this offense, how much have you been able to open it up? And he said that's really a hard question to answer. He kind of went into something. I think it's going to be fun to let us dive into that. So we'll do that. I'll put up some Facebook posts. You can react to now. It's not just a rumor. We saw it yesterday being confirmed by the Trump campaign. Now the University of Alabama officially releasing a statement. Are you happy? Are you disappointed? Do you like it? Just looking at my Facebook account a couple of minutes ago, and I put up a post. I'm sure Tide did as well, Tide109 on the Facebook account and then Tide109.com. And it'll be mixed reviews. I also, somebody that's probably a little bit smarter than I am, help me understand this, because a current president doesn't get the attention from the Secret Service like a sitting president would be. Now, I'm asking a hypothetical question. Would that mean that the security detail would be less than what we went through, like 2017 when Alabama played Georgia? That was the second 26 game, by the way, that many people often forget, because I think some people pointed out, hey, when the president shows up, generally it's not a good outcome. Well, that second 26, one of the greatest plays in Alabama history, the 41-yard reception from Tua Tagovailoa to Devontae Smith. President Trump was in that game, right? He was inside the dome when Alabama beat Georgia. Now he gets a chance to watch Alabama and Georgia again. He was here for Alabama and LSU. That one didn't work out for Alabama, right? That was an L. It was a good LSU football team, by the way, too. But rather moving on, but looking at it from a current president to someone who is running again for reelected, I don't know if the security will be less, if it'll be the same. Certainly the assassinations will probably amp that up. And when you look at it from a sports side of things, there's going to be a lot of distractions. I think that's the biggest part of, when you look back at this game, you've got ESPN College Game Day. You've got probably, I would assume, the SEC Network would be involved in some capacity. I mean, this is not just as I think a lot of people have labeled, this is a game that no doubt has national title implications in college football playoffs. But I think you look at the attention standpoint, just look ahead to week number 5. Okay, we're in week number 3, coming out of week number 3, going into week number 4 that will start, later this today. But if you look at week number 5, yeah, there's some decent games. But, I mean, it's not even close when you look at the magnitude of this game. Like, you got Oregon, UCLA, Ohio State, Michigan State. Okay, I mean, stop me when you hear a good game. Texas, Mississippi State. You do have a top 25 matchup in Illinois, Penn State, as long as those two teams continue to stay on their winning ways. Wisconsin against USC, Oklahoma State against Kansas State. All I'm pointing out, like Auburn and Oklahoma, they get together. Minnesota, Michigan. There's not a lot of big games. So it's not just a big game. This game would override many weekends. But because of the quality of games out there, yes, you do get an SEC play for some of these teams, but it's not the matchups that draw our attention. So when you look at this Georgia-Alabama game, I don't know. I mean, I've covered a lot of big games from an in-campus or in-season, regular season perspective. I've been to these national championship games. This one, the build-up, and I think some of that's because of the bye week. You have 2 weeks to amp this up. You have 2 weeks to talk about it from a Kirby Smart perspective, from a Georgia angle, from an Alabama angle. And that's one of the things that I think we'll dive into. Chris Plank coming up in a couple of minutes. He'll give us from an Oklahoma perspective, but he's also a national college football analyst. Chris Plank joins us coming up in just a couple of minutes as we are powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com, 3325 Skyline Boulevard, and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. The Tundra, the Tacoma, 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive. How about a Camry? Yes, sir. Absolutely. 2025 Camry. You can find those with some great interest specials. Take a look at it. Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. As Alabama gets back on the practice field this morning, that's a big statement. Here are a few things that I'm going to share with you as we travel throughout the afternoon. Brad Powers at 4, Bruce Marshall at 3, Daniel Moore from New Life Art, Daniel Moore Art Gallery comes up at 3:30. All right, we're going to Chris Plank coming up in a couple of minutes. He's Sirius XM Channel 84. But let me tell you about Underdog Fantasy. It's the greatest time of the year again. Kickoff is here. College football's back. NFL's back. We've got both games. We've got a big weekend. You talk about over 1 million fans across 33 different states got in the game last year by competing on Underdog, went up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on your favorite players. That's right. Touchdowns, passing yards, rushing yards. Hey, if you want to look ahead and you want to look at Alabama, Georgia, if you want to look at this weekend, you can look at those, and it's a really good projection. I know we use it some here when you just look at higher or lower. Making your picks on Underdog is straightforward, and also it's signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app and at UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with your promo code Fowler. That is FOWLER. Underdog will give you a free pick just to use on your first Cash Champions entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That is Underdog Fantasy promo code Fowler, FOWLER, to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. It must be 19 in the state of Alabama and a present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms do apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. That's Underdog Fantasy. Higher or lower on your favorite players, NFL or college. Check it out, UnderdogFantasy.com. Right now we're going to Chris Plank. He does a show in Norman, Oklahoma. He's also part of Fox Sports, which is who we're affiliated with here in Tuscaloosa. He also does Mad Dog Sports. He does Sirius XM Channel 84. Chris Plank, happy college football season to you. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, buddy. How are you, Ryan Fowler?
I'm good, man. I mean, do you ever feel like college football, we get here, and then we blink, and then we're 3 weeks in, and we're going into week number 4. It's like, please slow down. Move like the off season, right? Slow, slow.
My best friend, Jeremy Poplin, we did a show together for 18 years, Ryan. And when we would get in on our Monday after the first full weekend of college football, I'd always be jacked, and he'd kind of look at me and he'd shake his head, and he's like, "It's almost over." And I always kind of laugh because he was right. You get done with that first weekend, and it's almost like we're on an absolute rocket ship towards you guys coming here to Norman in November. So it's absolutely crazy, man, how quick it goes. There's a part of me that, I can't believe that we're through 3 games already, and then there's a part of me that can because of how it's gone for Oklahoma offensively. But it's really been wild just to see how this you blink and you're already a quarter of the way through the season.
Yeah, I definitely want to dive into Oklahoma, but I want to ask you, because we just got news a couple of minutes ago from the University of Alabama. They've now confirmed that President Trump will be attending this Georgia-Alabama game. Chris, have you ever been to a game? Have you ever been to a game with this would be a former president and someone that is,
right,
trying to get reelected. Have you ever been in a game where the Secret Service is there and you have to check your bags and all the different security? Have you ever been to one of those? Have you ever had the?
We went to I did Army-Navy last year, but the president wasn't there.
Man.
But President Biden didn't go to Army-Navy last year. But so this is wild. When President Trump was former President Trump, when he was campaigning, the rumors were, and I don't know if we ever got, this is so you guys can take it for what it was worth, but the rumors were that he was going to come to an OU home game. So let's see, this is 24. So this would have been, this was the first time around. So what would that be back? 2016? Is that what we're looking back at? And if I remember correctly, the president of the university at the time was David Boren. And I don't know if you could have 2 more politically opposite people than David Boren and Donald Trump. So I don't think President then candidate Trump ended up making it to the game, but I remember that game because it was like, God, security was heightened. And I was like, why is this like this? I remember going where we would always park. We would just park, and all of a sudden I'd park, and the police officer was like, all right, man, stop right there. And the dog took the sniff around. They had a little mirror where they were looking under your cars. So it's a little bit of a different world, but I'll tell you what, I almost would want to run for president or be president just so I could get the best tickets to Georgia, Alabama. I mean, that's going to be an awesome game for you guys next weekend.
Yeah, well, and to think about the other part of this is, and I hate to, drag in politics. I mean, we do it often on this show. But you can't avoid it. I don't know if you guys do it out in the sports, but I mean, it's almost like the intersection of politics and sports is closer now than it's ever been. But then you also have to think about from a security standpoint, because I've heard from people on social networks that said, hold on a minute. Now, we've had 2 assassination attempts in the last, 60 days, 70 days? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As a fan, that's an added level of stress because you're sitting there going, whoa, okay, hold on. Plus, it's not a sitting president, and he doesn't qualify for all of the Secret Service that's entitled to a current president. So in your back of your mind, you're going, hold on a minute. But, I understand both sides of it. I get it. I mean, I understand it, but it's just another added attention grabber from the Georgia-Alabama game.
Well, and then I would also, to me, I make sure I don't use my double negatives from my second grade teacher, Mrs. Benvenuta, to get mad at me. I never feel safer than I do at a football game. That makes sense?
Yeah,
in other words,
great point.
And again, we're pretty blessed, right? We have press passes or sideline passes, and we get to enjoy the game from that perspective. I would imagine, I think what you're going to start seeing too is I think you're going to start seeing 2 levels of security. I think there's going to be, a ticketed entrance, and then there's going to be an entrance into the stadium. I think that, you go back to that disaster that, it was at least getting the game started, the soccer match this year, right? Where they had people in Miami that were climbing through the vents. This happened right during SEC Media Days. And I remember talking to, we had dinner that night, and one of the guys was the game ops. guy from the Southeastern Conference. And we're getting to know all these people, Ryan, because we don't know. And I asked him, I'm like, well, what would be the cure for that? Like, that's your world. What would you do? He goes, do you need a second level of security? He goes, you got to have one area that's the ticketed entrance, and then a second entrance that's stadium entrance. So, in other words, you're not within, I don't know, I guess that perimeter could be close to like 50 yards unless you have a ticket. Now, it's increased security, that's more body, that's more cost, but I think eventually we're going to be getting there in the world of football. But, yeah, prepare yourself for a little bit more of a pat-down probably next Saturday. What time? Is that game a primetime game? Has they decided yet?
It is. No, it is. It's
Okay.
6:30. This one's been set for a little bit, so it's going to be and I propose that we invite Kamala down, and we do, instead of a halftime show, we do a debate right on the field. I mean, I could be the moderator.
That ratings record.
Yeah. I mean, let's just do a debate at halftime, or we could stay after the game. It'll be the largest debate in the history. But and we'll just, we'll take wireless.
And I would imagine, kind of like it would be in Norman, it might be a little bit one-sided as far as who the fans would be cheering for as well.
Yeah, probably so. All right, hey, I want to dive into a couple different things because you guys have got a gigantic game, and I'll circle back to Alabama, but I want to talk about this big game because you look at the national attention because. This Tennessee team looks pretty scary. That trip to Knoxville for us, you guys get a chance to host them out there. Give me your thoughts when you look at Oklahoma and officially opening up SEC play against Tennessee at home. What an environment that's going to be.
It's going to be fun. Sooner fans are pumped up. Game day is going to be here for the first time with fans since the Notre Dame game in 2012, which seems wild to me. And this Oklahoma fan base has been a little bit gun shy this year because the offense has struggled quite a bit. But I mean, Ryan, I know I'm new to the SEC, but haven't we done this before with Tennessee? Like, haven't the Royal We kind of lost their mind about how great Tennessee is and how incredible they are? And look at this offense, and Joe Milton can throw the football to the moon, and I don't care that Hendon Hooker is 40 years old. He'll make it through the season. I mean, I feel like we've been here and done this with Tennessee's offense before. The difference this year, I think, is that their defense is really good. James Pierce is obviously the guy that gets all the headlines, but they've got like a middle linebacker that I think he was recruited in 2016 that went to BYU and has just been around forever. So they've got a great veteran mind there. Their back end's a little bit suspect, but, it's a little different world because in all this talk and all these years where we've been, hyping up Tennessee's offense, it looks like Josh Heupel's done a really nice job in putting together a good, strong defense. So, I know everyone wants to see a shootout, but it would not surprise me at all if you end up with a very defensive-minded game on Saturday night. And I know everyone's dumping all over Oklahoma, and I understand they should. Oklahoma hadn't played well offensively in its first three games because that's all Oklahoma's been known for the last decade is high flying, kind of run and shoot type offenses. But I'm really excited, Ryan. I feel like I can tell you all this. It seems as if there's one of those quiet confidences about this coaching staff. And we tape our Coaches Corner show today, and DeMarco Murray and Zach Alley were our guests. And DeMarco he can be a little bit short sometimes. He can be a little bit surly, if you will, but he was all smiles. He seemed pretty excited about the plan that they have. So, again, I feel like we do this every year with Tennessee, and obviously this seems a little bit different because they have a defense, but they've also played, outside of North Carolina State, two of the worst teams in college football, and one of them isn't even Division I. So, I'm hoping the Sooners execute at a high level on Saturday night and the fans bring it because they've got a chance to make a difference whenever you have a young quarterback playing on the road for the first time in his career.
Is Oklahoma better than what you thought it would be? Like if I could look back at Chris Plank and I say, Chris Plank, let's go back preseason. Where do you think this team will be going into the Tennessee game? Are they further ahead in some areas that you thought they would be?
They're better defensively. They're worse offensively. They're even better than I thought they would be defensively. Now, again, that can get shot. So if they have some mental breakdowns and don't do their jobs on Saturday night, like it seems like they've been doing so far. But on that defensive side, what I think is kind of a little talked about story is the fact that Brent Venables has given up play calling. You know, he has given the play calling wand, that torch, if you will, to Zach Alley, the first-year co-defensive coordinator, inside backers coach, that I think he's still the youngest defensive coordinator in all of college football. So, and he's let him do his job, and he's done a really good job. And that's allowed Brent to be a little bit more presidential, a little bit more head coach. You know, there were times last year consistently where Brent Venables, while the offense was out on the field, Ryan, he was over in the defensive huddle. And he was, doing Brent Venables stuff, man. He's fiery. He's letting them know. Now he's not over there. You know, he's coaching his team. He's trusting his defensive coaches, and I think it's really cool. So Danny Sussman has been better. They've lost their perceived best corner in Gentry Williams. And in all the years I've talked to you, Ryan, if I were to come on this show last year or the year before that, and OU lost its best corner for the season, I'd be freaking out. But they've done a good job in building depth. Offensively is where the struggles have come. You know, I think Seth Luttrell, the new offensive coordinator, is getting a little bit better rhythm. They've been just absolutely besieged by injuries on the offensive line. They go out and spend in the portal to bring in Branson Hickman as their center, and he's played 9 snaps so far. Now, there's rumors that he could be ready to go come Saturday night. We shall see. But he's been out. The guy who's going to be their starting right tackle hasn't been healthy, and their backups have just not got it done. So that's stunted Jackson Arnold's growth a bit. Then you lost your most veteran receiver for this most of the season. You lost your number 3 receiver for the season. So I hate to come on here and complain about injuries, but that's what's really set them back. So I feel like Saturday night is going to be as healthy as they've been on the offensive line. So that'll be interesting to see how that helps their offense out. But, Ryan, they can't run the football. And if you can't run the football, you're not going to win, not just in this conference, but in college football, period. And Jackson Arnold has proven to be a little bit more of a runner than we thought he would be. And he's been really good at it. So, the hopes is the healthy offensive line will open up some things. But, yeah, defense is better than I thought they would be. Special teams, their kicker, has been better than I thought they would be. But offense has definitely been the biggest question mark heading into this, not just weekend, but into these next 4 weeks.
Chris, let me say this. I'm going to talk about NIL, but I'm going to tie it to Tennessee. We saw them do their 10%. I'm going to ask fans today, if that's something that they would be behind. We know that NIL is the name of the game, okay? Sometimes you have to experience it for yourself to see the true benefits. You were talking about, the talking with different people. We had an event on Monday night. This is the bye week, so Alabama fans, don't panic. Don't panic. We had a bye week. Monday evening, Jalen Milroe and Ryan Williams did an autograph signing at T-Mobile, which is a big store, right? Big store. And I saw the positive side of NIL, right? Authentic, I think one of the Yay Alabama folks put out authentic NIL, bringing these players out, allowing them to meet the fans. There was 50. It's the biggest remote I've ever done. I mean, we had 1,500 to 2,000 people out there getting autographs.
So cool.
And so that's the positive side. Then I see the Tennessee release on 10%, and I'm going, okay, hold on. If you pitched that to Oklahoma, what do you think your reaction would be? If you pitched it on your show and said, all right, Oklahoma's going to implement this too. 10% on every ticket, and that part of that donation is going to go straight to the athletes. Would your fans be for it that listen to your show?
No. And I also would say they've positioned it really, I'll give Tennessee credit. It's one of the greatest sales job I've ever seen because it's actually almost a 15% increase on the tickets. And they've couched it so well with, this is for NIL, so 10% is going to NIL. I honestly, Ryan, I thought about this a lot, and I get it. It's the future, and we all have to embrace it. If I didn't have a press pass, I couldn't afford to go to a football game. I couldn't take my
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy that they priced out the average fan? That's the part that's scary.
And I want, I want Billy and Tommy Ann to be able to go to the game, and Jack and Diane. And no, I don't know if they can. So, there's got to be a point where, inflation is what it is, but there's got to be a point in college sports where they say enough's enough, right? We've got to stop gouging our fans because if it's not increased ticket prices, it's you got to give the NIL to keep us competitive. And if it's not giving the NIL to keep us competitive, it's you got to give to this in order to make sure our facilities are what they are. And you got to give to this. So, NIL's not going anywhere. Collectives might. I know what they shut down one at Bama. Is that right? You guys shut one down to start the year. So we shut a couple down here at Oklahoma to no longer call them collective, but they're NIL.
Here was the crazy part. That was so false. I know it was reported out there. It was not the truth. It was a bad. I mean, the Greg Byrne, the athletic director, which people didn't see, he actually quoted Football Scoop and said, "You guys are incorrect. We didn't shut anything down." That was literally. But Greg Byrne, the AD, took to Twitter to defend it. Go, we didn't shut anything down. You guys missed this one. But anyway, I think they ended up correcting it kind of partially.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
Yeah. But you're right. That article was out there for about 24 hours. And
then Alabama. But so Oklahoma, it went from being one collective to another. So in other words, now one Oklahoma it's no longer collective, right? They want to call them NIL partners, and it's more of everything under one umbrella. I don't know if that's good or bad for fans. It just sounds like you're going to have to spend more money. And listen, there's a point where you got to stop turning to the fans to float the bill for everything. Because we can't. And so would people be behind it? Sure, because they want to win and they'll do whatever it takes to support their Sooners. But, Ryan, I just feel like there's got to be a point where, all right, how can we get less traditional revenue income, right? Less, is it signage on the field? Is it jersey patches? Whatever it might be. The TV deals, I guess these billion-dollar TV deals aren't bringing in what people think they're going to bring in. I know we're only taking a partial share at Oklahoma this year, but it's a lot. Here at Oklahoma, too, I would add, you think about softball. I mean, softball prices have risen tremendously just because of the new stadium and the success that they've had. I get it. I understand it, but I also hate it. So I hope, ticket prices are going to be a thing that will be consistent in life because that's what we do. And if you want to try to couch it as NIL, I hope it really is. I hope it's all going to the players because if it's not, then that's really greasy and that's really slimy. But I do think we're getting towards a time in our lives, Ryan, where it's just going to be at the point where some people are going to say, I got to stay home because I just can't afford to do this anymore.
Hey, give me thoughts on Alabama before we let you go. And you can do it in a minute or you can do it in 45 seconds. Any thoughts on Alabama?
Yeah, I like it a lot. You can sense a different Jalen Milroe. And maybe that's me homering out because I love your audience, Ryan, but I feel like that's a little bit of a different looking dude right now. I love what Kalen DeBoer has done. He has brought it into a new era, and I like that it's more of an open door where fans can feel like they're a part of it. I'm not looking forward to you guys coming here, but I think right now, like I told you before the season started, my 1-2 was Georgia-Bama, and that hasn't changed too much based on what I've seen for the first 3 weeks of the season. I think I'm juiced for Saturday night for Oklahoma and Tennessee. But next week we go to Auburn, and I'm going to be home in time to sit down and watch Georgia, Alabama, and I can't wait for that.
Chris Plank, enjoy the weekend, man. Oklahoma opens up to the SEC officially. We're kind of like, when we go to church, you welcome somebody into the church. I mean, it's kind of like, we've been inviting you to church, and then you finally show up. It's kind of like the, a little bit of a hug here. So,
look, Oklahoma's here. Let's go.
Hey,
thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you, man.
Whoa, wow. Man, nasty.
How nasty?
I mean, nasty. Yeah, nasty. What a shame to let this hateful man in our beautiful stadium. He will cause trouble among the fans. There will also be so many fights because of him. Shame on Alabama for saying yes to this evil man. Okay.
Is that a little bit you think that stems from some TDS?
It could. It's very possible. And it's real. But many people so excited. Yes. Roll Tide, President. Welcome back to Alabama. Awesome. It's an honor to be able to have a former president inside the stadium watching your team. excited as HELL to be there. He wants to watch his Alabama Crimson Tide play, Roll Tide. I mean, so probably I'd say 80%. Nah, probably 70-30. I'm going to be fair.
I'll tell you,
I could care less
I'm
either
pretty
way.
pumped up.
Why is this a story, Ryan? All I care about is the game. We need to win this game, period. Then I responded to this because UA confirmed his visit. Okay. It's a story to try to draw attention to himself. It's a distraction. It will be a mess to get around. Glad he will be here. Won't change my plans at all. Great news. Wish I could be there. Wish I could afford tickets to be there. Wish he would have played golf instead or go to Ohio and check on the dogs and cats and the ducks. Roll Tide. Go Trump. Roll Tide. Go MAGA. Trump 24. Roll Tide. I mean, I've got more comments in 1 hour than I have been. I think I was telling you there in the break. 1 hour. We do a score prediction just on there. Just we throw it up. We don't do a contest where we give away things. It's too much because people change and edit their scores. I used to, but people would change and edit their scores on my Facebook account. I kid you not, Jackson. I would be giving away a bag of pocket lint, okay, or maybe just something real tiny. And I kid you not, people would change the score because you can edit your comments on Facebook, and they would edit their score to win the small prize.
Cheaters.
So I just quit. Yeah, I just quit doing it. I said, you know what? I mailed them out. I mean, I did. I mean, I would literally, spend a few bucks to mail some things out, and it would, it just. So I said, you know what? Forget it. I'm not. So we just do a score for fun on social networks.
I wonder why President Trump would not go to Lee County instead to watch Lee County and the Oklahoma Sooners next week. I wonder why.
Well,
you know why?
I know there's a punchline. I'm ready. Why?
Do you know why, Ryan?
He doesn't want to be surrounded by a bunch of losers.
Well, no, because they suck.
Oh,
they absolutely
SAUCK.
Suck. That's SAUCK. Okay.
Yeah. And we spell AU for what again?
That is the Auburn Tigers, Ryan Fowler. The Auburn Tigers, and they do suck. They do. Mightily.
Same team that lost to California earlier this year, and that will be fighting to get to the Birmingham Bowl if they can make it.
Right. Ryan, I'm thrilled that President Trump's going to be at the game. And listen, that's what makes America. You put out a Facebook question or a Twitter question, and look at the responses you've gotten. It's a mixture. Okay, you said maybe 70-30, but listen, and the other side, they've got as much right to their opinion as our side does, and that's what makes it great. But I am thrilled that he's going to be. And you said it. This will be his third trip to watch an Alabama game. 2017, 2019 in Bryant-Denny, and then next Saturday night in Bryant-Denny against Georgia. So,
and I will tell you that we will be featuring the person who's going to host him in Tuscaloosa tomorrow on this show. We will feature Senator Katie Britt. So she will be a part of our show, and she'll talk about a lot of different things. But her first appearance since she's been elected, and they're grooming her to be a superstar. I mean, you can see it, but we'll feature the senator from the great state of Alabama, and she'll talk about she was an SGA president here at the University of Alabama, and rose to the top pretty quick.
Well, the longer she stays in Washington, the more I'll worry about her. Okay, I'll just put it that way. I hope she sticks to her guns, sticks to her beliefs, because Ryan, you know as well as I do, once folks get to Washington and get in that arena, they become intoxicated with power, with money, with greed, and I hope Mrs. Britt is the exception and not the rules.
Paul,
so anyway,
let's go to a couple different things here.
No, I would not be for it. No.
10%. No. No, I mean, tickets are already.
No.
I mean, Chris Plank said they were more expensive. They're too expensive as it is. You would not be for it as a diehard Alabama fan. Okay.
As a diehard, listen, I'm already giving monthly to the Alabama. Okay, the collective. Tickets are out of this world. I mean, you go to I'm just speaking on myself from where I live.
And that's why
travel to Tuscaloosa. Yeah. You fill this day and time. You fill the truck up. It's $75-$80. Okay. Say you've got a hotel. That's what minimum week game day weekend, home game weekend. It's what minimum $300 a night, and that's probably cheap. In some places, just so you get all your meals, you breakfast, lunch, dinner, for 2 days, for Friday, Saturday night. It's Ryan. It's just you're right. They're squeezing the regular, the middle class fan. They're squeezing them out, and to add another 10% on per ticket on top of all that. That wouldn't be just a no. That would be a hard no from me.
Well, and I like what Chris Plank said. He made me think a couple of minutes ago. He said it's time for the universities now. This guy is employed by Oklahoma on their sidelines. He's the official broadcaster for both football and softball. Play-by-play on softball, sidelines on football, does a lot of stuff with the athletic department. He said it's time to quit asking the fans to pay this bill.
I mean, Ryan, when I went down there for the spring, the 8A game, the 8A luncheon, it costs to do that. Now, listen, I'm not griping. I'm just stating facts. It was $60 for the luncheon, and it was $100 for two. It's $50 apiece to get into the South Zone to watch the. But while we're at the luncheon, part of the presentation, you had Coach Oates, you had Coach DeBoer, you had Greg Byrne. Well, then you also had a guy from the collective, Jay Alabama, asking, imploring the fans that were there to join Jay Alabama. And what did I do? I joined Jay Alabama. Because listen, I want Alabama to be as successful as humanly possible. But there's a limit. There's a limit on, especially in this economy. Now, maybe after November 5th, and certainly after January 20th of 2025, things can kind of get a little bit better and level off economy-wise. Have more disposable income in your pockets to where maybe you can take that leap of faith, pay a little extra here, pay a little extra there. But in this economy, with this regime that's in place right now, that's a hard no.
Hey, Paul, I got to get to the top of the hour break, man. Roll side to you.
Love
you back. A little Toby Mac. That's Nate Oates' favorite musician. Toby Mac, a 4 o'clock song. We kicked Leonard Skinner to the curb, and the 4 o'clock song, when you take Alabama to the Final Four, we're down to 46 days away from Alabama Crimson Tide basketball, brought to you by Alabama Credit Union, alabamacu.com. Checking, savings, mortgage, home equity loan, financing a vehicle. 46 days away from Alabama Crimson Tide basketball. And I know the big expectation that Coach Nate Oates painted last night during the Kalen DeBoer show, which officially started at 6:30. You had Hey Coach. And then after football season, that will turn into the Nate Oates show. And I don't know if it'll stay on Wednesday or if it'll move to the Monday where it's typically aired. But, hey, it was a lot of fun to hear him talk about the rotation and talk about this upcoming year. But right now we go to Las Vegas. He's a professional handicapper. We visit with him every Thursday at 4 o'clock. BradPowersSports.com. Brad Powers 7 on the Twitter account. Hey, Brad, I hope you're having a great day. Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
Hey, thanks for having me as always.
Hey, Brad, I want to go back to Wisconsin. I'd love to get your thoughts on Alabama's performance in Madison.
Yeah, I mean, certainly took care of business, far exceeded expectations. A little bit of money came in on Wisconsin prior to the game in the final 24 hours, where Alabama closed about a 14.5-point favorite there. I think when you and I talked, it was 16.5. So that you know, and that number, you know, ended up coming down. There's some anti-Bama money. Proved to be wrong. Obviously, Wisconsin's starting quarterback going out, you know, took a little bit of the wind out of the sail of the Badgers. I thought, obviously, a very important sequence there was right before the half. You know, the backup quarterback for Wisconsin missed an open touchdown. They missed the field goal. And then I think, you know, you're always looking for what's different between this regime of Alabama football and what they had for the last, you know, almost 2 decades. And I thought we saw it there right before the end of the first half. I'm not sure that Saban most years probably just running out that clock into the half. And DeBoer was, you know, super aggressive. Threw it down the field twice, get a touchdown, and, you know, game was over pretty much at that point. So that was probably my biggest takeaway, that the Alabama was so aggressive there at the end of the first half.
You know what, Brad, I don't know how that will calculate the way that you'll, you know, look at Alabama, but that question came up in the post-game press conference. It said, you know, kind of walk us through 36 seconds to go. He said, no, that's who we want to be. He said, this is who, you know, our MO is going to be aggressive. We're going to take shots. We're going to be aggressive. We want to push the football down the field. You can bet your mighty dollar that some of these teams now are going to be a little bit more conscious of that, because with 36 seconds to go, as you said, most of us thought, okay, get to halftime, get to the locker room regroup. Not Kalen DeBoer. He took his shots and it paid off.
Yeah, I need more data for it to be actionable, but it certainly raised my eyebrows that they were aggressive, and you want to be aggressive. You're the superior team, and you got guys you got Jalen Milroe, who throws a better deep ball just about than anybody in the entire country, and then, I mean, obviously you got some deep play guys that can hit you over the top. So it was really smart, and obviously it paid off. So moving forward, I mean, look, considering what happened last weekend with Alabama's performance, and you got to upgrade the Crimson Tide's power rating, and then what happened in Lexington, Kentucky, and Georgia almost losing outright as a 3-touchdown plus favorite. That game went from, in my opinion, Georgia favored clear, you know, at least a 3-point road favorite against Alabama, to I'm closer in the pick range as far as my power ratings, where I have Georgia slightly better, but Alabama being at home, I look for that line to be close to pick, even though I see some books have Georgia as a slight favorite right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking just with about 10 or 15 different sports books. I mean, I see Georgia at -4.5 in some places. I mean, that is a big, big line. You always say it often here on the show. If you're going to bet it early. If you can find this type of points, you don't think it will move up. This is probably about the highest you think it will be.
Well, I had not seen the 4.5, so you got me opening up to see what particular sports books.
Yeah, DraftKings has got it at 4.5, and I don't recognize the other logo, but it's got a trophy. I'm looking at Vegas Insider is where I'm at.
Okay,
and so so I've got 4.5 there, and DraftKings is that? I mean, that's official sports book, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the second biggest sports book, legal sports book in the country.
Yeah, and I don't know what the trophy is. I don't recognize that logo. ESPN has got it at 2.5. But yeah, I'm just looking straight at the line here, and it ranges from -2.5. There's several -3.5s, but I see 4.5 right here, DraftKings. So anyway, it's just a line that kind of grabbed me. Let me ask you from a Georgia perspective, what do you see as their biggest maybe concern headed into this game when you kind of analyze their football team?
I don't think they have an all-American skill position guy outside of obviously Carson Beck at quarterback. They don't have that go-to guy at tight end, wide receiver, running back that you can say, hey, you know what, we need to lean on you and we need to count on you to take over this game. Outside of Carson Beck, I mean, in most cases you're not going to need somebody, but in a game like this, I don't know if it's an ETN and the transfer from Florida. I don't know if it's, an Oscar Delp tight end that has to step up or one of the wide receivers, but somebody's got to be an alpha. And I certainly did not see it in the Kentucky game. I thought, the line of scrimmage, they did fine. Although, Kentucky, got after it a little bit there. But that would be my biggest concern. And then, that personnel-wise. And then my second biggest concern is more schedule-wise, and not necessarily for this game. But I just think, when you factor in you're at Alabama, you're at Ole Miss, you're at Texas, Tennessee looks a lot tougher than what that's going to be expected. This isn't your typical Georgia schedule where they might have 1 or 2 games that are high leverage. They're going to have 4 games that are, really high leverage. So I'll say this. I'm not expecting an unbeaten. That regular season win streak that's at 42 right now, that's coming to an end at some point.
Hey, I will tell you that the other line that's got it at 4.5 is Caesars. So it's Caesars has got it at 4.5. I don't know what you feel about those guys.
I'll just say this. As soon as I click hang up the phone, I'll be looking, because anything 3 or more for me is a bet on Alabama.
Okay. All right. And then there is one other line here. Let me see here. BetMGM's got it at 3.5. So it's not at 4.5, but BetMGM's got it at 3.5. But most people, like you said, have got it more closer to 2.5. I want to also kind of pick your brain about this upcoming Tennessee-Oklahoma game. That one's on the road, and it's one that Oklahoma gets a chance to open up SEC play. We're focused a little bit on Tennessee because Alabama has to go up to Knoxville, and you've got Tennessee laying the 7 on the road in Norman.
Yeah, let's just talk line. I mean, it's a historic line as far as Oklahoma in a home underdog role. This is their biggest home underdog role since 1998. That's significant because, if you're a historian in college football, that's the year before Bob Stoops showed up. So this is, pretty sizable. Now, if you watch the 2 teams play so far this season, you would say, Tennessee lock, easy, -7. Vols are going to crush Oklahoma. I don't know if it's that necessarily that. If it was that easy, they wouldn't be building stuff here every year here in Vegas. So it's tough finding a pathway for Oklahoma. I mean, the quarterback has not looked good, Jackson Arnold, all year. Tennessee's really good up front. The defensive line, Oklahoma's weakness on the offense is their offensive front, so that's probably a major advantage to Tennessee. Yes, Oklahoma's got a good defense. Yes, Oklahoma's used to defending in space, playing Big 12 offenses, but Tennessee has better athletes in space than a Texas Tech or a TCU, those types of spread offenses that Oklahoma's been facing for so long. So there's a lot of concerns here. With that being said, I play numbers. I took the hook, what we call here in town, on a key number. I took 7.5 on the dog just because it seems like the most public play of the season maybe so far. And obviously, I'm not saying the public doesn't win, but more often than not, in these, what perceives to be an easy layup usually doesn't become a layup.
I want to take you to South Florida, Raymond James Stadium. Miami travels to South Florida. Alabama played there last year. It was a little bit of a struggle for Alabama. I think it was 17-3. Miami goes there this year. They go there as a 17-point favorite. Miami at South Florida, 6 p.m. on ESPN. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I bet South Florida this week. I think anything 17 or above is worth the bet. I thought the Alabama-South Florida game was a misleading final. A lot of people, there's so many games in a weekend, they just look at finals. They don't necessarily, dive into the games. I thought South Florida outplayed Alabama for, I would argue 50-some minutes of that game. So I don't think you're going to be overly intimidated here by Miami's roster. So as long as the quarterback plays a clean game for South Florida, I think this is another game where I expect Miami to win, but I think it's the game's within doubt. They're in the fourth quarter at some point. So, yeah, South Florida for me.
I love Friday night high school football, but I'm also enjoying a lot of the Friday night college football. You've got the Illini, Illinois, going to Nebraska. 2 undefeated teams, both ranked in the top 25. Nebraska 7.5 in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah, screams typical Big Ten West type, even though they got rid of divisions. This just feels like one of those classic, low-scoring slugfest. Both teams sitting at 3-0. Now, I certainly don't have Illinois. Both are in the top 25. I don't have either in the top 25 in my power rankings right now. In fact, I don't even have Illinois in my top 50. So both teams have a lot to prove to me. I know they both have nice wins, Illinois over Kansas and Nebraska over Colorado a couple weeks ago. But to me, this just screams low scoring, one possession game. And if that's the case, then give me the underdog, especially catching more than 7. So plus 7.5 for Illinois for me.
NC State goes to Clemson. We saw NC State got thumped a couple of weeks ago by Tennessee. This one's in Clemson, South Carolina. It's Clemson minus the 18.5.
Yeah, I mean, NC State playing with a backup quarterback. C.J. Bailey will make his first career start on the road, hostile territory, Clemson. What are they? They're the team that got crushed by Georgia, the team that crushed App State the next week. They're off a bye. They should be ready. I lean towards Clemson here, but obviously this is a number that opened like 13-ish. Now it's 18.5, 19. So there's been some value sucked out of the market here.
Utah, Oklahoma State minus 2.5 in Stillwater.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to the availability of Cam Rising. The market right now says he's going to be out. So 2 days ago he was in, now he's out. Last night that trickled into the marketplace, and we went from Utah being a 2.5-point road favorite to now being a 2.5-point road underdog in this one. Whether Rising plays or not, I like Oklahoma State to win the game. I like Oklahoma State to cover the game. So I think Mike Gundy's still, to this day, the most underrated coach probably in college football. You don't have to agree with him politically, but he wins football games. In fact, the only two guys to win more football games than Mike Gundy the last 15-plus years, you might have heard of them, Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney. So Oklahoma State gets the win and the cover here.
USC travels to Ann Arbor, Michigan. They go there as a favorite. USC laying the 5 against the Michigan Wolverines up in the big house.
Yeah, how about this? A lot of good matchups this weekend. This is
we
one,
do.
I'm old. Yeah, I'm old. So, I mean, typically you only saw this one when they're playing on New Year's Day in the Rose Bowl. But boy, power rings wise, I lean Michigan. With that being said, I mean, sometimes you just got to go with the eye test. And that would scream USC. I also think USC will severely outcoach this young Michigan staff that just looks clueless so far. And then Michigan's making a quarterback change. I don't think Alex Orji can throw the football. We saw USC hold up at the point of attack against LSU in the opener, and they had to worry about an LSU passing attack. They don't have to worry about a passing attack here, so they're going to put 8-9 guys in the box. I think typically, I'd be worried about USC's defense. I'm not now. They hired the right coaches. They got the right personnel. USC goes in there and gets a win and cover, and I think when it's all said and done this season, I think we're going to be looking at maybe a 5-loss Michigan team.
All right, with that being said, and this is something we were talking about earlier, when you look at Texas, we're valuing Texas as a college football arena. They're number 1, according to the pollsters. I understand that we're 3 weeks in, going into week number 4, but because of maybe where we were overvaluing Michigan, is Texas overrated in your opinion?
No, they look better than I expected up front in that Michigan game. We'll see what ends up happening at the quarterback spot. Maybe, Quinn Ewers just got Wally pipped here with Arch Manning starting this week. I'll say this. I don't have Texas number 1 in my power rings. I still have Georgia and Ohio State above them. And I need – Texas doesn't play, necessarily the most difficult schedule. We're probably not going to see them get severely tested maybe until all the way to the Georgia game. So, but right now I still trust Georgia and Ohio State more. And, say Alabama wins next week, I would have Alabama ahead of Texas.
BradPowersSports.com, Brad Powers 7. Brad Powers, if you want a little bit of help, maybe getting ahead, you're looking at it 3 weeks into the season. You're not as maybe confident as you were to start the season. You can get that help at BradPowersSports.com. Brad Powers 7 on the Twitter account. Follow him and connect with him. Brad, they're saying that I didn't push you hard enough on this Alabama-Georgia is what they're saying on Twitter. I mean, you thought that...
Didn't push me hard enough. I'm going to make a bet as soon as I get off the phone. So I'm telling you, I'm really looking for above 3. And I lean Alabama at 3, but if you're telling me I can get off, something above that key number, I'm betting the Crimson Tide.
Okay, but winning the game outright, do you like Alabama or Georgia?
I'm going to have Georgia as a slight favorite.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Well, we will. I'm sure we'll talk about this game at length next week. So, Give me some time.
I love my audience, man, but I ask you 4 questions about Alabama, and you answered all 4 the way that you do every single week. And they're saying, I got to have his prediction on Alabama. I'm like, hold on, guys, whoa. But, Brad, we'll talk to you next week, man. Have a great rest of your week, man. Enjoy the college football action. We'll recap it next Thursday, man. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me. Take care. I'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. Brad Powers 7 on the Twitter account, BradPowersSports.com. We're right back to phone calls. I want to go back to the 10%. We threw out this hypothetical. When you look at 10% tax on, well, I won't say a tax, but it's an increase on ticket sales. Tennessee announced this earlier this week, and the 10% would go directly to NIL. Would you be for that? Would you be against it? Also, the University of Alabama officially announcing that President Trump will attend the University of Alabama-Georgia game. Love to get your reaction on that and a lot more. That announcement came down to the 1 o'clock hour, around 1:50, 1:30. We got an official statement from the University of Alabama. If you missed that, Tide109.com. MedCenter Urgent Care Family Medicine. No appointment necessary. The super doctors who live and work in our community. It is MedCenterUrgentCare.com. MedCenterUrgentCare.com. Online check-in available. If you want to significantly reduce your wait time, you can do it right there. And, hey, we got to get you back to 100%. Injuries, occupational health, a little bit under the weather, as I have been the last couple of days. MedCenterUrgentCare.com. MedCenterUrgentCare.com. Hey, I'm glad it's not Georgia week. Praise the Lord on that. We'll continue with more of the game. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
When I wake up in the morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes, and something without warning, love.
Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
Does the bye week have you down, Alabama fans? Check out Tuscaloosa Thread for some marquee games to watch this weekend involving future Crimson Tide opponents. Speaking of Alabama Crimson Tide, the University of Alabama has released a statement regarding President Trump's attendance of Alabama and Georgia on September 28th. In addition, Tuscaloosa Mayor Walt Maddox announced on Thursday that Tuscaloosa Water brought in 3 new awards from the Alabama Water and Pollution Control Association. You can read about these and more at thetuscaloosathread.com.
Get 24/7 local news coverage and sports updates when you download the free Tuscaloosa Thread app and sign up for twice daily email newsletters. Tide 100.9 Traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We got a heavy load on 69 right now in Northport, and this is in the northbound direction at Union Chapel Road. Long line of brake lights are going to cost you a solid back to McFarland. And speaking of McFarland, it's in pretty decent shape. I'm not seeing any heavier delays than usual, and that is in both the east and westbound lanes between.
Thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
Blue Spring Living Water is located in Bluntsville, Alabama, Blount County, about an hour north of Birmingham. Blue Spring Living Water is harvested and bottled from a centuries-old natural spring on a private family farm. Blue Spring is an all-natural water source that flows just under 1 million gallons a day. They have partnered with Waterway of Alabama, and they've been in the water delivery business for over 30 years. To have Blue Spring Living Water delivered right to your home, right to your front door every month. New customers get their 5 jugs for $50, and the empties are exchanged every month for new ones. I know we have it at the Fowler household. We drink more water because of BlueSpringLivingWater.com. You can sign up at 205-602-3426. Talk to someone directly. Blue Spring Living Water can also be found. Mark Smart.
A big part of our show, as they are each and every week. Here on Mondays, we do the Daniel Moore, the good moments of the game, presented by Daniel Moore. And, we'll talk Daniel Moore on Monday as well. But Daniel Moore Art giving us a chance to give away some great calendars each and every Monday. And we're having some fun. We're also part of their giveaways, too. Be giving away some 2025 more calendars throughout the season. But I appreciate you for, hey, going out and patronizing our sponsors, and reminded them that you heard about it right here on the game. Let's go to Stephen in Raleigh, North Carolina. Stephen, good afternoon. You're in the game. I apologize for a little bit of a wait.
Roll Tide, Ryan. You don't have to apologize. You said right at the beginning of your show you were going to have a guest-heavy show.
I did. Well, I did early. Yeah. That we were going to be a little guest-heavy. But I'll tell you what, I've learned a lot from two different handicappers. You had Bruce Marshall and you had Brad Powers, and both of them like Alabama plus the points.
I started following both of them because of your shows when you started having them on, a month or two ago, whenever it was. And now you have, during the season, I realize you have them on weekly.
Yeah.
Brad Powers, I've listened to, I've noticed him on social media since I started following him. If I was an Alabama, as an Alabama fan, I wouldn't put too much stock in him having Georgia a slight favorite, because if you see him on social media, he misses a lot. So he goes crazy on social media when he misses.
Brad does?
Yeah. The last one. Brad
Powers. Well, but also to be fair, Brad also places a lot of bets. Like, out of all the handicappers that we feature here on our show, and the reason why we started featuring handicappers is because of you guys. But we were getting a lot of requests, and we started featuring one, and we would feature him every couple of weeks. This has been probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. We would feature one handicapper, and you guys pretty much, the positive response was, hey, we want to hear more, because it is fun to hear their analysis, because they're biased toward one thing: winning, the green. And to hear them break it down. But Brad, out of all the handicappers we feature, he's the guy that places the most amount of bets. So he's a large volume.
Right.
And that's why he makes his living. He doesn't have another job. His job is placing bets on college football.
It is nice to hear their insight, because they bring us insight from a side of the game that most fans don't look at, because they go into such detail because they are putting money on the game, and they bring up points that as a fan I find it very refreshing because of that, for the points and the insight that they have from that betting side, and it really kind of sometimes opens up your eyes as to who's really going to win some of these games and why. You were talking about. I wanted to go to President Trump for a second.
Okay.
That was the hot topic early.
It was. Yeah, and, it could continue to be. We'll go for it.
What I'm about to say has no insight into my political beliefs, which are very conservative. But I sometimes, if I was going to the game, I'm not. I went to the USF game, and I'm going to go to a game later. But if I was going to the game, just the problems it brings from getting around Tuscaloosa, I would say I'm not for any political person showing up because of the security. That first week, the security was an issue. Second week, I think it was a little better. People realized they can't show up last minute, and I think the rain the first week did that. But then, when you have President Trump coming in, Ryan, they're shutting down certain streets. They're like your caller earlier or somebody on another show, the hospital, maybe this was yesterday, the hospital is shut down, the emergency room, because it's so close to the campus that, it just brings difficult times for the person going to the game. That's my only thing about it. But I love the fact that the president, he's still my president, that he would come to the Alabama game for the third time and come to Tuscaloosa for 2 of those times. I do enjoy that part, just the fact that
I think when you look back and you think about the University of Alabama, and listen, their statement was very was, I don't know if you want to say just unbiased, right? It was not a
generic.
One way or the other, right? I mean, they even, in one way, and here I'll read it to you just a little bit here. We've been notified by the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump, plans to attend the Alabama-Georgia football game on September the 28th after receiving an invitation from a private citizen. You know, they wanted to make sure that you walked out of there going, hey, we didn't invite him. It was a private citizen. So, you know, I did. That was the part
which we know is a congressman or senator in Alabama from Coleman. Her husband played in Alabama, right?
Yes.
Katie Britt.
So she's hosting him, but I don't think she's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be in a box that is not her box. I'll tell you that.
I would not disclose that on the air. No way.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Secret Service is listening and looking at every angle. They're looking at every angle.
Yeah, so, and I almost said it earlier, and I said,
I know.
Nah, never mind. But I was actually talking to a couple of political leaders earlier today, and kind of just sharing some thoughts and taking an angle I don't want to release on the air, but I was trying to finagle my way through some politics earlier today, and you know, I mean, because people are always asking me what's on the mind of Americans. Very simple. Economic.
The grocery store. The grocery store.
I went last night.
It's not hard.
I stopped by Publix. I got a bag of cashews. They had buy one, get one free peanuts. I bought a bag of cashews and a bag of peanuts. I bought another dose of NyQuil. I got that. And I did a thing of ice cream and a small thing of pineapple. That's the only items that I bought. It was $37.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, Ryan. I went with those handheld baskets. I went with a handheld basket, got no meat. Just last week, $100, and it was just a basket full of stuff, not the push kind, the handheld kind. So I didn't hear any whiskey or any honey or any lemon. You got several remedies on the phone yesterday.
I know it,
and I didn't.
But
I didn't hear any of that on your shopping list. Because of my
brethren in the state of Alabama that like to take NyQuil and make meth, I did have to show my identification. The lady came over to me and said, "Are you over 21?" I said, "Ma'am, I'm not buying alcohol. I don't drink alcohol." And she looked at me and said, "Well, you're buying medicine." I said, "Yes, ma'am, I am." She said, "Well, you must show your identification for that." I said, "Do I not look 21?" I said, "Okay, no problem." I didn't argue. I just flipped out my ID. It was much easier just to say, "Okay, no problem."
With the Sudafed, they make you sign for it because it's in the back.
I don't know what she did, but she took my ID and did something with it. So because she made me take it out of the wallet, like the part, because I have it like in a little flip case, right, where I flip it out.
Right.
No, she wanted to look at it. So I said, "Okay, no problem." I mean, I'm sitting here trying to argue with this woman that I'm 21 years of age buying NyQuil, but hey, I'm not here to argue, just here to get it and get out of the way. But all right, 10%. Would you support? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No. Would you support 10% tax on tickets if it went straight to NIL?
No. There are I mean, Ryan, and it's like you had a caller earlier, or even I think it was one of your guests. Going to a game is already super expensive. And the family, we just talked about the grocery store, and you're going to price the family out of these games if you keep mandating the money on them. Alabama is one thing where you can choose to give, but if you're going to mandate that somebody gives more money, I just don't agree with that. But, that's just me. Just before I got off the phone, Ryan, I want to talk a little football. This weekend, I really look at that. You brought up the South Florida game with Brad Powers, and I really look at Miami. Miami hasn't played anybody. They beat Florida, and that's way too much credit for beating Florida. it'll be interesting to see them going into South Florida because they've given us trouble 2 years in a row, and they've won a bowl game, and their coach is a heck of a coach. So that 16.5-point spread is intriguing. I mean, people in Tennessee, people can crown Tennessee if they want to. They can crown Texas if they want to. But we're talking about NC State and Michigan, respectively, for each one of them. Neither one of them, I don't think, are great teams. And I think the future is still to be told about who's the best team in college football because we don't know right now in week 4. My thoughts.
And that's all I was trying to point out with Texas because both of our handicappers criticized the Michigan Wolverines, rightfully so, right? I mean, I look at it, I think about it, but also if by doing that, we've also got to take some value off of Texas. Digger in Louisiana that loves to listen to us down there, if you're going to devalue Michigan, you must devalue Texas because what we're doing to put Texas at number 1 is because what they did in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, I mean, what was it 31-10? I don't something along that line.
It was 31-12. 31-12.
31-12 on the road. Quite frankly, Ryan, to a Michigan team that does not have an offense, can't run the ball. Quarterback's probably no better than Wisconsin's quarterback. I'm not sure if Michigan and Wisconsin play each other, but I think it would be a freaking nail biter between the two teams. So, and I like what somebody said. I don't know if it was a guest. I think it was today. I was also listening to yesterday's show earlier when I was driving. It'll be interesting to see with Texas and Tennessee, you have somebody that hits back. Neither one of them's played anyone that's hit back. Ole Miss is in the same boat. I mean, Tennessee onside kicking at 30-0 should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Hey, Steve, Crimson Tide football, and we're talking about it right here on the game, powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com, 3325 Skyline Boulevard.
Dude, I can't, hey, someone throws me a softball, I can't not swing.
At 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. We had Daniel Moore on earlier. Remember, they just released a beautiful new print. It is called The Legend. It is a tribute to Nick Saban, honoring his 6 national titles at the University of Alabama. If you don't believe me, it's a great print. Go to DanielMooreArt.com, DanielMooreArt.com. It is a new Coach Saban commemorative print, and autograph prints are available, but for a limited time. It's Alabama coach Nick Saban, fine art editions, and it is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We had a chance to come back, and we talked to Daniel Moore earlier today about that. If you want to get the limited edition autograph print, you can purchase it DanielMooreArt.com, DanielMooreArt.com, but for a limited time. Let's continue with more phone calls. We got a Marty in Arkansas. Marty, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
All is well, Ryan. I hope you're feeling better. Ryan.
I am a little bit, but I'm going to make you feel a little better. You ready?
Well, yeah.
Can I make you feel better?
Yeah, you do. Ryan, why do you go to the
No. I said what I'm going to say is going to make you feel better.
Okay.
Can I do that? Can I put a smile on your face?
Yeah, go ahead.
You won the score prediction contest. Why are you only calling on Thursday, Marty?
Because I've been busy all week at the hospital.
Okay. Well, I give you an excuse. I'm just teasing with you, but you did win the score prediction contest from Alabama, Wisconsin. I like to make these announcements on the air. You hit it. Hit it.
Hey,
so congratulations to you.
Hold that stuff because I'm coming down to Friday before the South Carolina game. Because I got to bring you the thing. I got dust off your print. It's been in storage for a while, so I got it out and got your name on it. Someone asked me about it, and I said no. But Ryan, to keep up with the Joneses, you're going to have to probably add that. But then when you do that, then when the season Tide Pride raises their prices, you're not going to be able to go to the game. And the base value of that ticket is $125.
See, I mean, I know it only sounds like a lot, but it's like, I think one of the callers, Alf, said it earlier when he said, it's like when you go and you buy a Subway sandwich, when you go and buy a milkshake, everybody wants you to tip, and then they want you to round up to donate to a charity. And not saying that there's not bad things about those charities. We're not discounting those. We're just saying everybody is looking for a nickel and dime.
Everybody's looking for $1 right now. Yeah, right. But it's like you, Ryan. Why you go to the most expensive grocery store in town? You're going to pay. They take care of their employees. It's not. I was in the grocery business for 30 years, and I know during the pandemic it was supply and demand. We all had to work 60 hours a week just to keep the shelves full. And I'll guarantee you there was some gouging going on, but, I mean, it was just supply and demand. It's just like gas here. There's one guy in town here that charges 30 cents more than anybody else. I'll guarantee you he's gouging. But, I mean, it's just supply and demand. But, I mean, you go to the most expensive grocery store, Harps, you're going to pay. Go around and price stuff. But, I mean, they probably take care of their employees a lot better than General Dollar and those others, too. So, I mean, there's where you got to take care of your employees. It's just like us. We take care of Alabama football. We take care of our employees, our team, better than anybody else in the country. You got more fans. Hey, I'll guarantee you people ain't calling from USC, Ohio State, calling down in other states to listen to their radio station. You go coast to coast. There ain't many other colleges that go coast to coast. It's just like I tell my Arkansas Razorback fans, you don't go to Alabama or you don't go nowhere and see an Arkansas shirt, but you can go in every state in this country and see an Alabama jersey. Right?
You're right. You're right. But I mean, it's I understand what you're saying, but I also understand the NIL is the world that we live in.
Yeah, the NIL is going to be the way it is, and they're going to have to set a way to pay them more. Are you going to pay the starting quarterback more than the third string right tackle, or are you going to pay the football team more than the softball team? Girls, are you going to pay the girls more than the guys? It's going to have to be a fair. You know what I'm saying? Something's going to have to give on that because, you know, and then if you do away with one girl's sport, you're going to have to do away with one men's sport. And then, Ryan, it's going to get to where you're not going to be able to go to football, basketball, or football and baseball. You're going to have to start. I'll tell you in 5 years from now, you're going to have to choose. I'm just going to go buy my season tickets for football, or I'm just going to buy my season tickets for basketball. Because Nate Oates is going to win 2 national championships in the next 5 years with the teams he got coming in. And demand's going to go out through the roof, and you know prices will go up when demand follows supply and demand, and that you're not going to be able to go to both of them.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I mean, listen, I think you're already there. I mean, I don't think the 10% is going to push anybody to the top. It's not really in Alabama, and maybe I'm being unfair to Greg Byrne, but I look at the Tennessee situation. And I would love to maybe go up there. We may go up there in the coming days. So just something to think about.
Maybe call one of the sports IDs and see what they say about it. I don't know, Ryan. I don't know where it's going. I just know it's going to get so expensive that the common, like you said, the common guy ain't going to be able to take, you know, you're going to have to decide, am I taking me and just my one, you know, you got 3 kids, and you're just going to take one to one game. All 3 of us can't go to the game. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we could discuss this. It's just, I don't know. But it's just like right now, look at the ticket prices of supply and demand for the Georgia game. People want that ticket so bad that if you got the money and want to pay it, you can pay it. But, I mean, I'm not going to spend $800 to go to a football game. Not when I can sit at home, and $800 is a lot of money to me just to go to a football game. But, I mean, there's where people will spend that much to go.
Yeah, good point. Hey, Marty, I appreciate you, man.
All right, I appreciate you. Just hold that till until I get down there. Hey, you gonna do one tomorrow?
We will.
Are you doing one this week?
We will.
Okay.
We will.
All right. All right.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having Brad Powers on. He helps me make a lot of bets, so I'm not a big betting guy, but he does win me 3. And now we got to win the national championship too.
Gotcha.
I got that.
Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Later, bye. All right, bye-bye.
Hey, roll tide. Right back to you. We'll continue.
Day. Start your day with Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
For over 5 years in our community in downtown Northport under that Roll Tide Bridge, Mark's Mark, the home of the chicken swirl. You'll find that since 1978 in Selma, Alabama, for over 5 years in downtown Northport. If you want to dominate the grill today or any day, find Mark's Mark. A great stop by on your way home if you're preparing for dinner. They've got a lot of those gourmet dishes that you can find, the great casseroles, the dips, the appetizers, the great steaks, the pork chops, the burgers, and all the supplies you need to dominate.
It's on Facebook, Andrew Conifer Agency. Once again, you can reach us at 205-722-9201. Allstate, are you in good hands?
Alabama Credit Union with the official countdown to Alabama Crimson Tide football right here on the game, alabamacu.com. The mobile app saves a lot of time. The mobile deposits, checking, savings, mortgage, home equity loan, financing a vehicle, the great competitive rates. Alabama Credit Union.
You're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We have got brake lights everywhere in the city right now. Lurleen Wallace northbound between 15th and Union Chapel Road. Definitely riding your brakes in between that stretch. About a 13-minute trip time as well. Also, Paul Bryant Drive westbound between University and Queen City Avenue. You got some heavy traffic. It's bumper to bumper from Veterans Memorial Parkway to University Boulevard. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, Tammy Thomas.
This report is sponsored by Allstate.
DanielMooreArt.com. Daniel Moore Art celebrates those special moments of Alabama football history like 4th and 31, Jalen Milroe connected with Isaiah Bond, or the legacy continues with all the great memories of Alabama Crimson Tide football. You can celebrate Coach Saban with a Nick Saban print, the limited edition canvas. You could also find many of the great mini prints. Celebrate that special Alabama fan in your life.
$10,000 in finance rates as low as 0%. And we want your trade-in today. Townsend Nissan, your volume dealer. See BJ or Colin today.
Dos Amigos, Highway 69 in the new Publix Shopping Center. 11 a.m. opening, 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday closing at 9, Sunday through Thursday. Some great Mexican cuisine, the great fajitas, the great desserts, the great lunch specials. You'll find it at Dos Amigos in the Publix Shopping Center on Highway 69. Takeout.
Get quality protection. Yep, it's a win-win. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
The game is powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. David DeSantis, the largest selection of new Toyotas in over 3 years, can be found on Skyline Boulevard, 3325 Skyline Boulevard. Also a nice inventory of pre-owned inventory. You can find the new Tundra, the 2024, the Tacoma two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive. How about a new 4Runner, Highlander, RAV4, Camry, Corolla? For those outside of Tuscaloosa, save.
Coverage begins at 3:30 on your home for Alabama football. Presented in part by BMW of Tuscaloosa and by Pearl River Resort in Choctaw, Mississippi. Where the legends of Alabama football hang out.
McCarron, draw play. Lacey, huge hole. Touchdown. Yep. Alabama touchdown.
All right, we have had a great response to our conversation with Daniel Moore. We were the first radio show that interviewed Mr. Daniel Moore, and they have just authorized me literally during the break because of your reaction to grant you. Now, we use a coupon code The Game, no space bar. The Game, no space bar, all together, one word. Now, that is for the calendars and other things that we do from time to time. They just gave me a new code for only this Legends print, okay? The Legend print for Nick Saban. It's my name, R-Y-A-N. That's the way you spell my name, R-Y-A-N. Because of you guys ordering the prints, if you order the Legends print, which is Nick Saban's new print that just got released today, there's an autographed edition if you want to purchase on that. The new Nick Saban commemorative print, The Legend by Daniel A. Moore, which we had on our show. He made the announcement right here. The code word is The Game. Excuse me, it's not The Game. I just said it incorrectly. It's the code word on this particular product is Ryan. They'll offer free shipping to you, which is going to save you a little bit of money, man. So another way that we pay off. And make sure when you're checking out, that you tell them that you heard about it right here on The Game. We say thank you. It'll have my name right there. We say thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate you. Let's continue. And we go here to Tommy. Tommy, good afternoon, sir. You're in The Game. I hope all is well, Tommy.
Hey, Ron. How are you today?
I'm good. Tommy, we got so many different topics, man. Pick one and run. Go. What you think?
To help the NIL out, I got a plan.
Okay.
We need to have an NIL lottery. We need to run Nick Saban as governor, as an independent to enforce it and get it passed. You know, might sound like a silly idea, but hey, the fans are being bled to death. I love the church analogy. Yeah, there's 3% that pay, but the other 97 have to bust their ass every day to make a living to feed their family. So you know what? We can't go to ball games. We can't go to ball games. The stadiums will start looking like they did during the pandemic. Do we really want that for college football? You need to think about it hard and level and long, because you're making it like pro football. Hey, it's supposed to be for a college education. You're not going to play sports for 20 years and get paid $10 or $15 million every year. And the funny thing about it is, we're not teaching these kids how to save their money, how to invest. It's the parents who get greedy, or their cousin who's sports agent. And 10 years from now, they'll be broke, and they can't even get a job at McDonald's or Burger King because they can't fill out our application. Anything else you'd like to know? Maybe we're going to go there.
No.
Let's go with the NIL lottery. Yeah. That's the only way we're going to get a lottery in this state. Because
if I offered you free tickets to the Georgia-Alabama game to sit in Donald Trump's box, would you sit there?
I'd sit in a heartbeat.
Okay. I don't have them. I'm just hypothetical.
Well, I know. I said in a heartbeat. I'm like, no, if we're going to start being cowards, I got news for Tony. I'm going to call him out.
Call Tony out. Call him out right here.
If Trump gets assassinated, you ain't got to worry about no more damn football or basketball or World Series. We're going to be in a hell of a mess. You understand me? And this, talking about the CIA, yeah, it's going to be a mess. And you better get on your knees every night and pray that this don't happen. Because it's, you want to talk to conspiracy? It's elite globalists is trying to destroy the country. And 95% of Washington, D.C. is made up of those folks.
Yeah.
The only thing going to save this country is good old states remembering their constitutional rights. So, I didn't want to go down this road. Maybe we shouldn't go down this road, but I'm saying, but come on down, Donald. You're welcome. And if somebody does shoot at him and they assassinate him, I hope the good people of Alabama rip the SOB to shred the Schroeder, because our government is not going to give us any information. It's been 70 days since the first one. We know nothing. Congress knows nothing. They are go-breaking, as they used to say. And American people are getting freaking tired of it. You can tell the anger, because this is stupidity. We are not a freaking third world nation. But we're becoming one because all these dumbasses saying he's worse than Hitler. How many people, all right, folks out there who can't make up their mind, I'm going to help them make your mind up today. Hey, Nick, you want me to get riled up? By God, I'm riled up today. All right? What did Hitler do? He murdered people. 6 million Jews. Over 40 to 60 European responsible for death for 12 years as the Nazi Party ruled Germany.
Yep.
I don't think Donald Trump comes close, okay? So learn your freaking history, people.
Tommy, I got to run, man. I appreciate you, man.
I know you do.
All right.
All right, have a good one.
Yeah, thanks, Tommy. Let's go to Henry in Texas. Henry, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well. All right. No Henry. How about Ellis, Manchester, Tennessee? Ellis, good afternoon, sir. You're in the game.
Yeah, you go, Tommy.
Tommy's fired up, boy. Listen to him.
You hear him? Tommy's fired up on a Thursday.
All right, Ellis, I'm going to ask you the same question. Since I got Tommy so fired up, would you sit in the box if I gave you 2 tickets? I mean, I don't have 2 tickets. I'm just hypothetically. Okay.
Yes, sir. I'd sit right there.
See, I'm telling you.
If he'd let me sit beside his wife.
Yeah. Oh, look at you. Look at you. You're trying to. Okay.
And no, I'm not for raising the price of the ticket.
Okay. Yeah, I think Tony's waffling on Trump, and I think he sounds like he might be a Kamala guy. He's starting to sound like a Kamala guy.
It sounded a while ago. He sounds like a Kamala person.
Yeah. I'm starting to think, Tony could be one of those guys. All right, Ellis, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Straighten up, Tony.
Straighten up, Tony. We got to get him back on track. We'll do that tomorrow on a Free-For-All Friday sponsored by Brian Harden Construction. We'll do an SEC Parlay Pick Contest. We'll have some fun. We'll get you ready for some college football, all starting at 2 o'clock. Big thanks to Simon. Big thanks to Jackson, Wyatt, all those guys back in Tuscaloosa. We thank our law enforcement officers, EMTs, firefighters, first responders, Highway Patrol. We thank you. We salute you. We appreciate you. We remind you that we call this program The Game. And the only way that you win the big game, the game of life, is walk daily with our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Good night, T-Town.
Thank you for listening to the